Their latest move might have inched them closer. Guard Reggie Jackson has agreed to a contract buyout with the Pistons and plans to sign with the Clips. So, Chris, what do you make of Reggie's decision to join Kawhi over LeBron and the Lakers?
I don't know how much it was over the Lakers. First of all, he's represented by Aaron Mintz, who's the agent for Paul George. And also, who they're friends, Reggie and Paul, but also was the agent for Julius Randle and D'Angelo Russell, who Aaron Mintz did not like the way they were treated in L.A. You know he shared that with Reggie. However, Reggie did talk to some people with the Lakers, but they didn't go full bore after him. It wasn't like LeBron and A.D. called him and recruited him. The Lakers feel, whether we agree or not, they feel good about where they're at and what they have. Not that they certainly wanted Darren Collison. But outside of that, and Marcus Morris, obviously they wanted, they're not just like, we just got to add somebody. Now, for the Clippers, I like Reggie there. I mean, I think he's their fourth guard, Doug. Certainly, obviously, Patrick Beverley is what he is. Lou Williams is what he is. And Landry Shamet is huge for them with his three-point shooting.
Yes.
So I think Reggie's after all those guys. It's kind of insurance for injuries, which is an issue with them. And we kept him from the Lakers, even if the Lakers weren't like 100% on bringing him in.
I would love to like decipher his points and tell me he's wrong, but he's totally eating. I mean, like, again, this is, and it's not a Rich Paul thing, right? It's a Pelinka thing. Right. It's a, like, when you have, this is the real world of the NBA is Aaron Mintz is like, didn't even consider, the Lakers didn't go after him. He didn't really consider them. So it's not as it's perceived. Are there players that don't want to play with Team LeBron if they're not represented by Rich Paul? Yes. I don't think that's the case here. And though I think it adds to the talent of the Clippers, and 1 through 12 looks better than the Lakers, last I checked, you can only play 5 guys, okay? And that 12th guy you just brought in, I think Reggie knows what he's getting into. But if you remember why it ended in Oklahoma City was he wanted to run his own team. He wanted to be the guy. He wants to be an alpha. Now, he took a big payday, right? He can count his money and sit on the bench and just come in and get buckets. But I kind of think this helps the Lakers because any minute he's on the court, that means Pat Beverley's not on the court. That means Lou Williams or Landry Shamet's not on the court. And I think the Lakers have a greater respect for what those guys can do in the matchup against the Lakers than what Reggie can do because he's not what he was when he first came to the Pistons. And I think the big challenge for Doc, and he's been great about it, but you got a bunch of junkyard dogs in that locker room. You got everybody wants a shot, which is great in theory, okay? But in practice, you can only play 5. Only one guy shoots, and it sounds great to say, nah, man, I'll play 5 minutes. I'll just clap, I'll wave the towel until you're the guy clapping and waving the towel, and it's just not fun when you want to be out there. I think this is a big challenge, honestly, for that Clippers bench to keep everybody in line. Patrick Beverley generally does it. He's the alpha, more so than Kawhi, more so than Paul George, and especially now a challenge because it's a guy who could potentially take a couple of his minutes.
No, you're making a great point because talking to some people around the league, that's what they brought up is the minutes and the chemistry. There already have been reports about, and I think they're a little overblown, but about issues with the Clippers because, you know, Kawhi's low management, the culture has changed. Last year it was all about every single game, every single possession matters. We're getting after it every time for 48 minutes. Now it's about these first few months of the season don't really matter. It's all about May and June. That's a total flip for this franchise. Now you bring in a guy who, as you said, wasn't really happy in Oklahoma City coming off the bench, being behind Westbrook and Durant and those guys. How's he gonna? Because again, I think you agree with me. He's their fourth guard. And then Kawhi and Paul George handle the ball a lot. So I'm not sure where he fits in, and when he even comes in, he's a talented player.
Yes.
But does he fit even the way they play?
And I talked to some of the people in Detroit last night, and they're like, look, he's matured a lot. I think he can handle it, especially in the hierarchy of that team. But the point you make, which is a really good one, is, look, there are nights, he's probably going to be a guy that plays a bunch on those back-to-back nights, right? Because they're going to try and win more games in the regular season. But some of that, it actually can be a curse when you play well. Because you go out and play really well, and you score 25 when the other guys aren't playing, then you're sitting over there 2 nights later like, man, I just showed him I can play, and now I'm sitting here. It's a hard thing mentally when you go from a starter to now all of a sudden I'm trying to show that I still have it at a higher level of basketball, and yet I'm not getting the minutes in the bigger games. It's going to be a challenge for Reggie. It's going to be a challenge for the bench. It does make them overall more talented, but that doesn't always win championships.
Yeah. But sometimes, though, good problem to have, at least.
It is a good problem to have, in case somebody goes down, too.
Right. Team has received a plethora of backlash stemming from their sign-stealing scandal. It's even crossing sports. LeBron James chiming in, the king tweeting this out. Listen, I know I don't play baseball, but I am in sports, and I know if someone cheated me out of winning the title and I found out about it, I would be expletive irate. I mean, like uncontrollable about what I could do. Listen here, baseball commissioner. Listen to your players. Speaking today about how disgusted, mad, hurt, broken, etc. they are about this. Literally, the ball is in your court, or should I say field, and you need to fix this for the sake of sports. Wow. Those are big words, Doug. How does baseball move on from this?
I just think they got to let the games begin. That's the problem with it. How do you move on when there's no reason? You're going to have, obviously, spring training games, and you're going to have some balls being thrown at some of these Houston Astros players. You have Nick Markakis saying these guys, I couldn't tell, did he say they need a beaning or a beating? Everybody says it sounded like beating, but it might have been beaning because it wasn't a strong T. It was kind of like a hard-hitting New Britain, right? He didn't really enunciate the right syllable.
Beaning
anyway,
I
hope he
baseball.
wasn't saying beaning, though.
But that's what's going to happen. How do they move on? While I agree with LeBron and I have no problem, like this idea that he can't comment about baseball when he's a basketball player.
I love it.
Right? You're not supposed to be a sports fan?
I hate staying your lane.
On the other hand,
comments on
but
all
sports is his lane,
sports,
right? You'd rather non-professional athletes or other mooks on TV that have never played a sport comment, but he can't comment. So I have no problem with commenting. It's just the reality of it. Like, yes, listen to your players. I think that to me is the part that's most astounding about this scandal is that, and because you cover it for the MLB Network, right? Is that you go back to steroids, any other controversy, players never speak out about other players, especially in baseball. It's the tightest union there is, and they're in a CBA negotiation right now. And other players, like Mike Trout, had something to say. I'm an Angel fan, okay? Mike Trout has never had anything to say about anything, ever. And Mike Trout's like, if I hit a game-winning home run to win the World Series, you got no problem you taking off my shirt. Direct shot across the bow to Jose Altuve. And when you have star players, obviously the Dodgers are ticked. That's going to happen. Obviously Aaron Judge, who feels like his MVP was robbed from, that's going to happen. But you have guys that have no dog in the fight, nothing, and they're commenting. That to me signals you have a problem. But I just don't know what Manfred can do. His hands are tied. There's still a month before baseball's played. And then once games are played and guys throw at the Houston Astros, do you suspend those players when you didn't suspend the Astros for participating in this scandal? I think they're he's between a rock and a hard place.
I think the reason that, as you said, this is very unusual, especially for baseball. And Manfred's whole issue was, I can't, punish the players because I can't go against the union. But yet members of the union, the players, are going against members of the union, the players. So and I think it's because the baseball union has always looked out for the interests of all the players. Right. Not just the superstars, not just a select few, all of them. And they are looking at this like, you took jobs away from some guys. You took contracts away from some guys.
But so did steroids, though. This is the whole thing. Like,
well, let's stick with where we're at right now. And so I think that's why the players are so upset, is because guys, lost jobs because of this. Now, I do think there's something he can do. He can't suspend players. They won't beat the union in that regard. And there was a great article in The Athletic yesterday about how even the legalities of it, because the players weren't informed by the league about the repercussions of doing what they did directly. Like, there's no chance you would win in a court of law or anything like that against the players.
Even if he had not granted immunity, you're saying, yeah.
Right. That's what the article was saying, and lawyers and things like that. So let's say they can't do anything against the players. To me, and I've been beating this drum since the report came out.
Trash can.
Vacate
the trash can.
Right. Vacate the title. Vacate the title. In my view, that solves everything. Number one, you're not punishing players, you're punishing the organization. So I don't think the union should have much to do with that. Even if the union does have a say, I think the response of many of the players around the league would say that the union would be like, you know what, go ahead, vacate that title. So that you vacate the title, I think you can work around the union. Number two, it satisfies everyone's thirst for justice. That's why we're so upset. Because there's no justice. We've seen people do wrong. Michael Vick did wrong. People were all upset about it, went to jail, paid the price, and now he's out and people like him. So we want justice, and there's no justice been served, so it satisfies that thirst. I think a lot of the players around the league would be like,